I've spent over $1 billion on ads for some of the biggest brands in the world and help people spending as little as $100 a month see success. In this video, partnering with Foreplay, I reveal what most marketers never get to see. You're about to step inside a live Zoom call for an actual Meta account audit. I'm going to show you the exact tactics and strategies I use to dissect and improve Meta ads so you can repeat the process yourself. No staging, just the real process with real stakes. Let's get to it.
Perfect. So for our business, this might be a little bit small and short because we just started doing the, I guess, like the theory of like scaling and testing.
Sure.
I followed the 4PL, so this is already set up.
Love that.
We can go
Thank you.
right in. You're welcome.
Yeah. I invested some time there to explain everything, so we don't have to go over it a bunch of times. So
yes, that's what I say. It shouldn't be take too long.
yeah.
Okay, so basically, HitPoint Press is a business, is a company that we sell like D&D books.
Love it. Okay.
Yeah. So we have different categories, as you can see here on the. So they all have different costs. They all have different metrics. This is something that we've been working on, and then now we have like clarity about like our CPA, and then we have a little bit more clarity on what to get for like ads in return. Now, I guess like from here, my questions are it's about the selection of the products, see if this is like properly set up from your perspective. How is like the GPT? Just like pretend that you don't know anything and you're just reading the account, just follow and show me your
Yeah. So 2 questions that I have for you, because your business, I don't want to cover the same ground that we covered before. So let's try to take a little bit more actionability, because I could have gone on for 2 hours on the thing before. So we're going to try to, spread the love here.
It was getting philosophical.
Yeah. So we got to keep it actionable, right? When I do consulting calls, we can have those kinds of, when you're in the MBA, we have one-on-ones all the time. We can get way deep into the fun stuff. But that's not what this is for. So with this being said, you have a high SKU count and a target audience. Let me ask you this. How many of the people that buy from you are likely to buy more than once?
That would be the owner, Rico. I think you can help us with that, but I don't know. It's not a subscription, that's for sure.
Sure.
But they would be like maybe like tempted to buy like a second or a third, but like I don't think it goes higher than like a third product.
Okay. Yeah. But yeah.
Sorry, I'll jump in here. Rico, I'm the owner of HitPoint Press. We actually, a lot of our stuff originally has come from Kickstarter, and then we bring it to the e-com store. So we do have actually a lot of people who come over and do a second, maybe a third purchase, but the average order value is probably like 57, and then like the lifetime of a customer is around like $67. So it doesn't seem like there's a lot of return on a lot of those people, but sometimes they come back, get an accessory or something like that.
So you're looking at like a 20% second repurchase or something like that.
Something like that, yeah. A lot of digital stuff.
Got it. So one of the first things that I would do, given you have so many options and so many different products, and when I land on your homepage, you're already telling me that you don't know what I want to buy. What I would really focus on is, if I went through all the receipts in the business over the last year, of all of these items, which ones have the highest propensity to have somebody where they were a new customer with me, got the most second purchases? This is something we call second purchase rate. The reason for that, let's say, and I use this analogy a lot, so I'll try to use it here just to keep it succinct. If I have a steakhouse and you come in and order a salad, I might make $40 because it cost me $1 to put some lettuce and some cheese and some croutons together, whatever, right? I might charge you 40, whatever it is. I might make $50. I might sell that thing for $50, sell it to you for, cost me 10 to make the sale, whatever it is. I might make a much higher profit today, but unless it's the greatest salad in the world, I'm not coming back to the steakhouse for that salad. However, if you have the greatest filet mignon ever, I'm going to come back with 5 of my friends over and over again, and I'm willing to pay a higher premium price for that. The point is this: we need to sell the steak. if you were to go through all of your items, and this is simple for anybody to go through, if you have Shopify, it's really easy, or wherever you're at, name of the person, the item they bought, the day that they bought it, and how, whether they were new versus returning, and what that average order value was. If you were to take that across the last year or 2 years of all of your receipts, and then whether you do fun VLOOKUPs or Excel spreadsheets or just use Chat GPT or whatever, you can say, of all the items, what items have the highest amount of people coming back? So for everybody that was a new customer, what was the most commonly bought product when they were new? For everybody who's a repeat. The reason for that, the reason for that is because I want to make sure that we are optimizing for what's going to get you cash flow. Your profitability on day one, the item here that has a $5 GPT could be the thing that doubles your business if 50% of those people buy a second time. And you might say, hey, look, only 20% of people buy a second time. Sure. But if 50% of these people buy a second time, but they only represent 10% of your sales, that's how we can understand certain things. And really this comes down to this business, because I've done a fair amount of these kinds of businesses before over the years. I think one of the biggest things that it comes to in this business is how to understand to get somebody to love what you're doing enough to come back again and again. I will tell you this, the least profitable transaction in your business, the hardest thing to scale on is the first sale. The most profitable transaction is the second and third. If you want to be more profitable, you have to get more people to buy from you more than once. So out of all of your items, there's some red flags in here we'll get to it in a minute. But the homework for you guys to do outside of all of this is figure out which items actually are the best at earning a customer rather than making a sale. I want you to change your mentality. You are not a salesperson anymore. You are buying customer journeys. You are buying cash flow devices, not trying to make a profit. The more cash flow cycles you get, the higher the amount of revenue you get from people who are not new customers. That number should go up every month. If that number does not go up every month, what you have is a very good sales team. What you don't have is a very good business. That's really important because the cost to acquire customers and make sales will only go up every single year. If you can't turn those people who buy into customers because they buy again and again, you're going to very much struggle.
I couldn't agree more. I think this maps onto so many different types of businesses. If you think about the steakhouse example that you had before, maps onto that business. Restaurants need their customers to come back, at least some of them, right? Unless you're in like a really high tourism area and you can just...
Sure. Yeah, Bubba Gump Shrimp Company probably doesn't need a lot of help. Yeah.
Right, but your reputation might get damaged, right? People use Google reviews, right? And they want to go to restaurants that are good. So your ability to serve your customer well on that first transaction is so important. It applies to agencies as well, right? No agency is making their money, on the first month of working with a brand. They have to work with that brand for months and months to come and serve them well in order to keep them, a customer of the agency. And the same thing applies to Foreplay as a software subscription. People don't keep subscriptions that they don't enjoy, that they don't use, right? So I think that this applies to e-commerce businesses that aren't subscription businesses as well. Right? How is it that you can serve your customers so well, either with your product offering, that they come back and they purchase again? This is, in the way that I like to describe this is a function of demand, right? And demand changes seasonally, right? If you're a clothing brand, you might sell more jackets in winter and more crop tops in summer, right? So your demand is moving and you really want to be selling what it is that people want to buy, right? And not just what they want to buy one time, but what they want to buy multiple times, right? And that could be a transition across different products as well. It might not be the same product that they're constantly reordering, but for example, I used to work with a kayak brand and their low-end kayaks that were tough to get across the finish line, to get them produced, were massive for the business, not in first order profit, but in their ability to ascend customers into their more expensive, their more premium kayaks, right? So that's demand, but you also need supply. You can't sell the thing that everyone wants that you don't have any of, right? You need to have inventory of this product to, feature it in your marketing, because if it's in stock one day and then it's not in stock the next day, you might have to pull that ad down. That is if it doesn't continue to produce sales of, wider inventory. And then the last piece is margin, right? If you have products that are your own, that you're manufacturing, and then products that you're buying wholesale, with really tight margins, let's say 10 to 25% margins, those might not actually be the best bait at the end of the fishing rod to find new customers if you're losing money on every sale, right? This is unique to lots of different businesses, but those are the considerations that I would have in mind: demand, supply, and margin.
Yeah, I hope everything's okay in the background there, Jack.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I totally agree with what Jack said here. And I think when we come to this style of business, the one other thing when it comes to impacting the ad account that I think is really important, if you're buying a whole bunch, if you're trying to sell a whole bunch of different products, their experience on your website is dramatically different. Each product appeals to a slightly different person for a slightly different reason, even if you have 100 ads for the same product. And what that really means is it's going to be harder for you to build bundles. It's going to be harder for you to do CRO. And most importantly, because you're not optimizing for people to have a good experience on your landing page and a good experience with your business, your CPMs are going to go up. If it was really easy to get one type of person to convert and those people came back to buy again, your time on site, your conversion rates, the value of your customers is all going to improve. One of the biggest reasons that CAC numbers get out of hand.
Ik zit in een dingen. In een webinar, dus als je heel eventjes stil zou willen zijn.
Who's chatting? Let's see here. There we go. I think we got it. No? All right, whatever.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I think we do.
one of the reasons that customer acquisition costs get out of hand, one of the reasons that CPMs get out of hand, one of the reasons that frequencies get out of hand is because you're telling the machine to sell a whole bunch of things, but not giving it a lot of resources to know how to do any of those jobs well. A really great example of this in the global market is this company in the States called Boston Chicken. They rebranded as Boston Market, and they went from being a really great place to get a rotisserie chicken to a place where you could get mediocre food of a whole bunch of types. Within 5 years of that change, they went out of business. Do one thing well and figure out how you make money. The purpose of the rest of your business is to build vertical integration on the customer journey and figure out a way to keep your ideal customers coming back. Now, let's get into the ad account for a minute because we're here. We might as well. It's open. We've been looking at it for a minute.
Yeah.
Can you do me a favor and do the breakdown by day? Actually, let's do this a slight different way because I already showed how to do that. Do me a favor and actually go last 30 days and break down by week.
Okay.
So in the upper left, or upper right, sorry. Last 30 days. It's funny. I could like close my eyes and just like point like this, and I know this. Like, I've walked people through building like 100K a day ad accounts like on a cell phone, not looking at anything other than like the weird thing over in the corner of the room. It's ingrained in my brain in a way that's probably not terribly healthy. Anyway,
So-
yeah. Let's take a look at this, and then if it doesn't load, you can always hit refresh and see if it gets us back here.
I think it might be a bug. Let me see if I change my browser from Arc to. Oh, there it is.
There we
Okay.
go. Awesome. So a couple of things. On the by day, we get a really good understanding of what's going on a day-to-day basis.
Mhm.
On the last 30 days, we can really understand trend analysis over time, which lets us know are things getting better or worse directionally. And really this lets us know where is there smoke, where is there fire, what are the bigger moves we can make. For you, because you have a lot of campaigns going to a lot of different products.
Let's try these two, Big Bats and Tarot, because the other two we just started it like a couple of weeks ago. So these ones will have more data.
Got it. So
yeah.
my point to this is my point to this is this will let us know on bigger angles what is going well and what isn't over time.
Mm-hmm.
So if we just look at these where you spent the most money, there are a couple of things. Now in that last ad account that we looked at, it's 2,000 over a week. It was like a 1.9, 1.3 frequency. I think it was 1.9. Here we're seeing frequencies of like 3, almost 4. Now your CPMs are phenomenal. For most people would beg for those CPMs. The problem is you're hitting the reason those ads have such low CPMs is because you're hammering the same people over and over and over again. My suspicion is your creative strategy is these ads work, let me make more of them. You've been replicating the same concepts over and over and over again. So the machine gets really good at understanding how this one very small group of people responds to your ads. So it's serving up all 20 of the variations or whatever you have over time, you know, maybe not in one ad set today, but over all of the ad account, all of the campaigns, all of the ads that since you've been running. This is telling you the machine knows how to make a very small group of people have a very good experience. But your cost per 1,000 account centers reached, if you were to put that number in here, instead of just CPM, your CPMs aren't actually 6 or 7. They're like 30, 50. So how much it costs to reach net new individuals is incredibly expensive relative to what you're doing for the rest of your marketing. So that's something I'd keep in mind. Now, the other thing here that I would look at. So first off, with that in mind, we could maybe take a look at the ads here in a moment. So maybe what we can do is dive into the ads for one of these ad sets and get rid of that breakdown. The other thing that I would recommend here is your AOVs, even within the same campaign, are all over the place. Even in this one ad set, it's all over the place. 18 to 60. What that's telling me is you are selling a whole lot of things. You might have the ad promoting one product, but you're selling a ton of different stuff. What I'd like to know, and something I recommend everybody do, is to build a custom conversion event for that product that you think is actually your hero product, the thing that's most valuable to you. What we can do is build a custom conversion event, a purchase event, where the product ID or content ID contains whatever it is for that hero product. I've done this with big brands. I've done this with small brands. I did this with a brand that's a quiet luxury men's business in the wallet space. And they tried to launch iPhone cases. 80% of the ads that made a sale on the iPhone case were just selling the wallet for more expensive than the wallet ad did. As soon as we got rid of that, we basically sold the same amount of cell phone cases, but made way more money on every transaction. The point is, you're probably selling anywhere between 5 and a dozen different products, even with the same ad, because you're telling the machine any purchase on any item is good for me. And you have customer journeys promoting all the different types of products you have. Does that make sense?
Yes, and even within this campaign, if I go here, we have 2 products. So yes, you're right. Like one of them, like we'll send them to a bundle, which the cost it's higher, like also like the price for it. And then this is a book, which is like from the same, let's say, line, like so Harry Potter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, sure. And then this one here, it's like the bundle of all of them, and this one here, it's like book number 1. So there is definitely a mix. They're within the same category, but it's a mix of. So
I think this is a great example of what Charley was just saying, because you've got a bundle up at the top, and the average conversion value is actually less than the single book.
Yeah,
which is it's pretty interesting. People can move around your website and purchase different products, not just the one that you're advertising or you take them to on the landing page, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that's a great example. Let me ask you another question. Are these all static images?
Yes.
Okay. So one of the things that when we get into creative strategy and design, what you do not have a problem with, your superpower, is images that your audience loves to see and converts well with. That also is your biggest limiting factor. What you don't have is anything where your daily frequency is basically below a 2. Maybe there's a 1.5 here, but it's 216, 235, 267. If you were to go into Foreplay and find some of your competitors and find some of the videos that they have that have earned a lot of spend and have good metrics, I would be going in to try to recreate those experiences to drop them in these ad sets. I would imagine that you might have even run these before, but you turned them off because the CPA wasn't as good. And really, it's not about does one ad do better than the other. It's does this collection of ads ultimately get me to a place where I have better unit economics in my ad account. So the point of all of this is if we chose the box set as what I really want to do well, and honestly, between these two, I would look at the conversion rate of those landing pages, what converts better. And if the box set is twice the AOV of the single item, odds are I can spend twice as much to acquire that customer. And so in that way, there's getting a lot of people, like Jack said, that are clicking on the box set that are buying the single item. And that's probably because you have so many ads going to so many items that it's just random distribution that's the last thing that they're seeing. But your biggest barrier to growth is the fact that anytime you scale the budget, you're just hammering the same people more frequently. You're not reaching new people. So you have a scale of your funnel issue. For me, I'd be looking at what is anything I can do on a video asset level, because video tends to sit higher in the funnel. How do I get a video ad that would have a frequency below a 1.3, below a 1.2? Can I get a video ad that spends $200 a day at a 1.05? What that would do for the volume of opportunity for every other ad that you have running would be massive. And I would begin to focus on understanding that mix.
Viviana, I have a quick question on your ad creative. Do you love your ads? Like subjectively yourself, when you look at your ads, are you like, it's incredible?
Yeah, they're really super sweet. Like this one here looks like out of an album, like a Queen album with like the sheep and different colors. You don't, I think like, especially when it comes to like the physical, like the creatives, they're pretty good. I'm not sure if we should have like more variations. We used to have them and I used to run them, but like these ones have been like the top performing ones.
That's awesome. I love to hear that you actually like your ads, because there are so many brands spending thousands and tens of thousands of dollars on ads that they don't really feel faithfully represent their brand, right? It's up there because it's working. It's because it's someone who made this, and they've been told they have to launch 1,000 ads a week, so this is one of the 1,000 ads that they launched, right? But it's awesome to hear that you actually really love the ads that you're running, and that you may be representative of your buyer, looks at your ads and thinks, okay, yeah, if I was my customer, this is the sort of thing that would make me buy. I think, to speak to what Charley was speaking about in terms of inspiration, I'd love to show you an ad. Charley, could you turn on screen share for me?
Sure, yeah. Let me give you permissions here. There we go. Awesome.
I just saw an ad the other day, and I think this ad is so incredible. I'm not in the market for the product, but I'm considering it. And I saw the ad and I thought, you know what? I would love to hear a marketing expert tell me why this is a bad ad. So maybe this is the perfect time. Check this out. You guys might have seen this before. So this is for some sort of, camera that clips onto a hat. Are you guys getting audio?
Yeah.
Yes, we're getting audio.
You want my sunshine? You make me happy. You need to sing with me. Good job, guys. Life is good. Oh, another feather. Oh, another feather. Yeah, that's green.
I think you guys get the vibe. There's a pretty strong CTA towards the end of the video as well. But the general idea here is just like Charley was saying about video sitting a little bit higher up in the funnel, right? I'm not in market for this, right? This isn't the sort of ad that's going to hit me on average 4 or 5 times. This is the sort of ad that's going to hit a lot of people, and they might go straight from first impression to checkout straight away, right? Because this is a sensational ad, right? This is the sort of ad that gets people to buy. But me, as somebody who like pretty much never buys things online, I don't have a little girl, I don't have a pet that I could clip this onto. I'm thinking, I could probably have some fun with this. It looks like an awesome product. So maybe with your ads, and if you're thinking about creative diversity, about launching different ads, video ads, maybe different ways to speak to people, prioritizing something that isn't just persuasive to you or like attractive to you as an ad, but is sort of inspiring, right? You look at it and you're like, this is incredible, right? Because at the end of the day, that's what your customer is going to see. They're going to see media that represents your product in a context, and they're not going to see your cost per purchase or your ROAS, right? They're going to see something that talks about your product, right?
Yes, that was very useful
Yeah.
and handy. Yeah. I have one question about that.
Sure.
When you have because that's a philosophical question sometimes we have with clients. You know how you're going to get broader audiences with that type of ad, right? So you're going to get a lot of people clicking, does not necessarily convert to purchase. What are your thoughts about that? Like in terms of strategy?
I'll say this. Obviously, we don't want to fill our funnel with a whole bunch of people that aren't interested. I think your biggest problem is that you only appeal to people who already want to buy. So you can be hyper efficient, but until you bake in a little bit of that inefficiency to reach new people, you won't be able to realistically be able to scale.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And when I look at your ad account, I see zero creative diversity. Basically, every ad is essentially the same thing. And I think the concept of creative diversity is also one that's really misunderstood. I think a lot of people say creative diversity means let me launch 1,000 ads. Creative diversity is more along the lines of, can I have a few different types of ways of reaching people? So every ad that I saw in your account that I saw was essentially the same thing. What I didn't see was anything that talked. I didn't see a testimonial screenshot of somebody happy, or a review, or you going through the product quality, of you showing what it is. There's no demonstrative angle. There was nothing in there that really showed anything other than, I'm really interested in this topic. I might be willing to spend money on this product. And so yes, you're going to reach more people that aren't necessarily interested. And there's a balancing act. I think many people a lot of folks worry about hook rate as like the key indicator of a video. But if I'm really, really good at attracting attention to people who will never buy, that's a huge waste. For you to make video assets that work in this space, and again, I've done this a lot, there was a very close to this, but there's a business I worked with that did Pokemon and Magic card stuff. And what they did a lot that crushed, on top of, you know, the kind of ads that you have, this sort of like fantasy environment, static. What we did a lot was actually just show the physical product. We literally had like a handful of ads that crushed were the founder holding a phone and just like with their other hand going through what the product actually was. Just talking about like, I made this thing. Look at these pages are really good. You can put your thing in here. One of them was like a box for your Magic cards deck. I'm like, look, it's like he dropped it on the table and it made like a clunk sound. Like this is not cardboard. This is, you know, just having any sort of way of letting somebody make a choice not purely based 100% on aesthetic and price.
Mm-hmm.
That is going to attract the attention. Your market is 1,000 times bigger than who your ads are reaching. But your ads will only ever reach the people who look a lot like the folks who are already buying based on the ads you already have.
Makes sense.
So for me, the biggest win in your ad account, number one, I would do the research to understand what is the best product for me to promote. I would build a custom conversion event, so anytime I sold that product, I could see that as a column in my Facebook ads dashboard. I could understand how good am I at selling this thing? How can I sell this steak? And then I'd be doing a lot of creative testing around how can I move my ads just slightly up funnel? Mm-hmm. And any one of those ads that do a good job at attracting the attention of strangers are also going to do really good at giving your bottom funnel ads that you already have the opportunity to not have to be the hello and the close. You're basically just introducing yourself to people with a hard sales pitch over and over again. So it's going to be hard for you to reach new individuals. Does that make sense?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. I have a question, because like, how are we supposed to, like, do we just make a new ad set that excludes the people that we currently have? Is that the goal here? Like,
I wouldn't. No. If it's me, one of my favorite things to do is, I've been talking about this for years. It's called a 3-2-2 ad. We can do this in dynamic creative or with flexible ads.
Yeah,
I would build 3 videos that feel very similar. If you do a 2-minute video of you with the phone, I'm using this because my phone's over here. I might use my phone and like film something, and maybe it's 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes long. If it's 2 minutes, I can make another cut that's 45 seconds and another that's 20. If I did 2 of those videos, one that's like of one product and one that's something else, those are 2 video concepts with 3 variations each. I could run that as a 3-2-2 ad. That's 3 creative, 2 primary text, 2 headlines, and run that in an ad set alongside what's currently running. So it's essentially an A/B test against my control, and just see, does it earn spend? If it doesn't earn spend, it's not good enough. If it does earn spend, and it will probably do so at a worse efficiency, the CPA might not be as good, but it might dramatically improve the volume that my good ads have. am I able to solve this in a way where I'm comfortable spending more money? Can I spend more?